Dan the Wheelman here with kind of the second part of what has become like a two-part Pacific Northwest special, along with the video I did last week. Still got the classic Vancouver Canucks Flying V hat, although it's gray now instead of black as it was in my last week video of the Toyota Tacoma. Still got the North Face jacket, still got the jeans, the Bloodstone boots, but now I've had an extra twist. I've got the checkered shirt, which any Pacific Northwesterner loves. It's a typical Pacific Northwest day, about 15 degrees with some sun breaking through an early morning cloud cover. And I am still in a Toyota truck, just like the Tacoma last week, but not just like the Tacoma last week, because this is the Tacoma's SUV sibling, which shares a platform, the 4Runner. And I say Pacific Northwest because on my drive last week with the Tacoma, I drove past like 16 other Tacomas on that drive. 16, a million, whatever it was. There was lots. But a lot of them weren't really being used for truck stuff at all. One of them had a canopy and the bike rack on it, which kind of, at that point, you're basically in a 4Runner. You close everything off that makes it a pickup truck. You're basically in a 4Runner. Not to mention that when the 4Runner first debuted, back in the 70s it was in North America, it was essentially a Toyota pickup with a fiberglass canopy on the back, like kind of a more permanent one. If you look up pictures of old Tacomas, or old 4Runners rather, you'll see people have actually left that canopy off. They've got these rear seats that are like open to the elements of their family in the back. It's actually pretty funny, kind of like a Subaru Brad. It's actually a pretty funny thing, and so you're basically in a Tacoma here, just one that's closed off now. It's more closed off now than it was previously. The powertrain is different too. We'll get into that in a minute. But what I do have that I love is I've got the power sliding rear window, which is awesome. I don't know why I like it so much, but I think it's so cool. Well, it makes it more practical. That way, if you've got a tall load back there, you can get to the higher items without opening the tailgate and having them all fall on top of you, which is nice. But it's just so cool, and if it was a little bit nicer, I'd have this big sunroof open, which is about 3 feet wide and 2 feet deep, all the windows, plus that back window, and it would be as close to that old 4Runner as I could get. Nice and airy, which is awesome. This isn't just any 4Runner though. This is the Venture Edition, which is actually new for 2020. It's a new trim for 2020. And it gives you special 17-inch wheels. It gives you a hood bulge. It gives you a Yakima roof rack, which again, Yakima, Pacific Northwest City. Why not, right? Some other cool stuff. You've got a locking rear differential, which even the Tacoma I had last week didn't have. Multi-terrain select. You've got a crawl control system, which is activated by 2 dials up here. Basically, you get everything the really super hardcore TRD Pro gets, but for like a fraction of the price. That's a $7,500 package. This is more like $3,500, and I'll get more accurate pricing on my review of this, which is going to appear either on the Offroad Plus or the Trucks Plus tab of the RPMCanada.ca website in a couple of weeks. But much better price point for that, and all you really lose is the Fox dampers the TRD Pro gets, and I think the wheels and tires on this are a little bit less hardcore, but still you've got dualer all-terrain tires on here, which I'm sure are going to be great. I'm going to be trying the off-road track later on, and we'll see how it goes, but still a pretty heavy-duty off-road vehicle, so that's great, but for, like I said, a fraction of the price of the TRD Pro, and it looks awesome too. But the off-road's later. Let's talk about the soft road for now. It's a good time, guys, we're on the highway here, to kind of consider the niceties you have in the new 4Runner. Chief among which is the seating position. I am perched on what I feel like is a throne. Seriously, I think we have a gargoyle up here, and I can see everything really, really well. And even though I'm tall, I still have plenty of headroom, even with the sunroof cover closed. Lots of headroom. It's a nice tall ceiling and a tall roof, and that tall roof also makes for a much more straight up and down windscreen, which again provides a better view out forward. Plus, we've got a great view out over back and over my shoulders too. So that's awesome, and everything falls nicely to head. Everything is big and chunky. You got rubberized dials here, which I'll see in the clip later on, plus a big chunky gear lever. It's comfortable here. The rear is a little tighter than the front, of course, but you will see more about that in the following clips. But this is a place you love to be in, and that seating position combined with the big square hood and the hood bulge and all that really gives you the feeling that you're in a vehicle that really can't be stopped. I feel like you're in a nice carved out of a single piece of granite, just plows through everything. I feel like even if I ran into a hail of bullets like Superman, they would all just kind of bounce off me. Like, this is a heavy-duty vehicle. The power, while it does share a platform though with the Tacoma, it doesn't get the new powertrain the Tacoma has. That truck has a new 3.5 liter Atkinson cycle, or V6 with Atkinson cycle on it, as well as a 6-speed auto. The 4Runner is still making do with the previous generation 5-speed auto and 4-liter V6. So this is not a new generation vehicle. That hasn't come out yet for the 4Runner, but it has for the Tacoma. But still, you've got 270 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque, which is actually more torque than the Tacoma provides, and nice smooth power delivery. 5-speed transmission works with this engine for this work. But because you got that extra torque, I don't find it hunts around through gears as much as I remember the Tacoma with the 5-speed doing previously. Plus, you got 5,000 pounds of tow, which is less than the Tacoma, which already was less than a lot of its competition at 6,300. This is 5,000 pounds here, but it's enough to tow what these lifestyleists we talk about want to be towing: tent trailers or dirt bikes, or maybe I've actually seen some 4Runners tow full-size camping trailers too. So it's capable for all that. But it's also, it's comfortable. It's surprisingly quiet in here, which is nice. I don't get whistling over the wing mirror, which is something I really hate, and I find big trucks often get. Yeah, you open the sunroof, you will hear the whistling through that roof rack up there. It's a big, huge basket, so that's going to happen. But inside like this, it's actually nice. Plus leather seating. It gives you the luxury you need without going all full whole hog luxury like with the GX, which is basically the Lexus version of the 4Runner gets. But this is a way cooler truck than that. Get this. Don't get the GX. Get this 4Runner. But this is great. I think I'll double check this. I think they've tuned the suspensions a little bit softer as well. It doesn't feel quite as tractor-like right now as the Tacoma did, that's for sure. But then again, this is still a body-on-frame SUV truck, so it's not going to ride like a luxury car for sure. But you don't really want it to. You want it to feel kind of like gruff and stuff like that. Like nothing's really good. That's part of that whole unstoppable thing. And that's what I love getting into one of these. It's easy to get in and out of them. Once you're in, it's easy to see and reach everything, and you feel like you're kind of on top of the world. Well, you kind of are in the seating position, which I absolutely love. So as you'd expect from kind of like an off-road utilitarian vehicle like this, it's pretty Spartan in here, but that's okay. I mean, I love these huge broad panels, the right angles everywhere that aren't jamming into my knees and, you know, kind of my thighs or my arm on the door here. I like how chunky everything is. These dials here, which could easily be used while driving, have these nice rubber bezels on them. The shift lever is chunky, the steering wheel is chunky, even the throw on the indicator stock here is chunky, and I like how they've mounted these window controls right on top of the shelf here. Everything is so easy to access and use. Less so, except for the seat heater controls, which are down here on these little wheels that are kind of mounted really close to the armrest, so they're kind of hard to reach the outstretched digit, and they're not that well notched, so it's hard to tell what level you set them at. You kind of got to guess and test there, and that's too bad. Feature-wise, it's pretty good. You've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for 2020, which is nice. You have your, as I mentioned, the heated seats. You have adaptive cruise control, which again, I was surprised to find considering this truck's kind of off-roady digs. You have lane keep assist, which is great. You don't have a heated steering wheel though, and that was a little bit tougher to forgive on last week's Tacoma because that is a newer generation truck than this is, but it's still too bad not to have, especially considering this, the MSRP of this is knocking on the door with a Venture package of like 60 grand thereabouts. So that's too bad not to have that. But the more I think about it, the more I think that if you're in it to get fancy gizmos and heated and cooled seats, all that kind of stuff, you might not quite be getting it when it comes to the 4Runner. You know, maybe barking up the wrong tree. This is a vehicle that's meant to spirit you down the road or up the mountain pass without any drama. It's got that great chunky chassis and very capable kind of four-wheel drive system. And if you want more kind of electronic trickery and, you know, comfort features and all that kind of stuff, you know, buy a Toyota Highlander. So if you'll just bear with my shaky camera for a minute, as promised, I just got this on the off-road here. I'm in 4 high. I think I'm in mud, sand, and dirt mode on the multi-terrain select here, and it's just, I'm crunching over everything. This is a gravel road, lots of exposed kind of rock outcroppings coming out from the bottom, and this is just chewing it up and spitting it out like it's nothing. I love it. Like this, very little, you can see by the shaky camera, it's pretty serious. Nothing is gonna really feel like it's gonna stop. This is nothing for this 4Runner, this stuff here. I think you really need to up the ante a little bit to really challenge it. We'll put the camera around here in a second, you'll see what I'm kind of talking about here, but this is just great. It's a vehicle like this, you just want to go off-road. You want a rougher road. Who cares about the ride? You want to feel it doing its thing, and it's definitely doing its thing right now for sure. Show you guys the road ahead. I'm trying to give you a driver's eye view here of what I'm dealing with. So as you can see, off-road with some nice divots through here. But look at that, this goes through like it's nothing. Come on, give me more of those holes. Holes, I need holes! How do you Seinfeld fans here? Look at, oh, here's some more, look at this. Just through it, nothing phases it. Like, I'm actually trying to get these wheels in these divots, these potholes here, just to kind of see what they're made of, and man, they're heavy duty. Look at that. As you say, locking differential, like I said before, I'm in 4H here, multi-terrain select mode in mud, sand, and dirt. I could probably go loose gravel here too, but there's also a rock mode as well, which is great for when you're gonna be doing some actual bouldering, I guess, although with the side steps this thing has, I wouldn't probably recommend that. I'm worried I'd hang them up on there too much, but look at this. Pardon the shaky camera, like much I can do there. I'll get a gimbal one of these days, but look at this. We just threw everything. This thing though, it's like the knight in Monty Python's Holy Grail. Oh, he farts in your general direction. I think that's the line. I'm not a huge Monty Python fan, but this is looking at this road and just nah, this can handle it. This can take this, no problem. Look at that. Don't you just love that? You know, I've spent time on racetracks, spent time on nice B roads, and while obviously on off-road situations like this, you're not. Oh, look at that! There's a black bear for everybody to see. Check that out. Well, that's what you get here in this part of the world. I don't know if you guys caught that. Very cool, though. Where'd he go? Oh, he's down there. Good stuff. Very cool. Very cool. Did we be by here? Let's see this. Yeah, so anyway, black bear aside, that was cool. You're on tracks, those are fun. B roads are fun in sports cars, but even though you're not going anywhere near as fast on an off-road road like this, driving an off-road specific vehicle, which this really is, I mean, they call it TRD Offroad, or they call it TRD Offroad, I guess. And it really it's got its own element of technicality as well, especially as we get a little more hardcore here on some of the really hardcore stuff. This is low level Boy Scout stuff, but still, like you get to really appreciate the engineering for a vehicle, the chassis, tires, axles, suspension, when you go off-road like this, to see how composed the body is as you put it through this stuff, to see how well the steering isn't rattling all over the place in my hands. You can't really see it. If I put the camera on, you would. It's just going over everything and allowing just the road to kind of flow under it, just like a good sports car does with a good kind of windy road. And you really appreciate that when doing off-roading. And this 4Runner TRD here, it really does a good job of dispatching this loose surface, for sure. I'm going probably half the speed this truck could probably handle this at. I won't go any faster because that wouldn't be safe, of course, but I think this can handle way more than I'm throwing at it now. But this is still gold loads of fun. So I'm going to try and run a quick demo of the crawl system on the 4Runner. You can kind of see how it's accessed by these knobs right up here, which is nice. So there's a few steps to activate it. Basically, if you try to activate it right by pressing it, it'll tell you on the gauge cluster here that's not available, because what you have to first do is you got to get into 4L, 4 low. So to do that, you got to put the shift lever in neutral, and then of course take the off-road controls. 4L is up and right there. Now it turns all the traction control systems off. You got it in 4 low. At this point, back in drive. Now, when you press the button up here, it shows you on the gauge cluster here about what level you're crawling at. There's 5 different levels, and you can kind of adjust it like this. It's the middle level of crawl control. So I'm going to take my feet off the brake, which is on right now, feet on the hands on the steering wheel, and let the car do all the work. You can hear it. I'm not pressing the brake there. That's all the car doing this. Over like this. This way, I can focus on steering. That's how much to turn this, and you can turn it up while going too. Let you go a little bit faster, but you can hear it kind of doing its thing. It's a little louder than what you might get on the Ford Ranger, for example, which also gets a similar crawl mode if you have that. I think it's part of the FX4 package there. But it works, definitely. This is a downhill crawl. There's also you can do it while going uphill, everything. So what it does, once you activate this, it takes off your traction control system, and it only reactivating it, I guess, when it feels like it needs it to, and it modulates the brakes for you, does everything. So when you're on really tough stuff, all you gotta do is steer and let the kind of system do the rest. First stuff was cool, especially when you had the bear, but this is, now we're talking some real. I've got it on loose rock mode now, which, as you can see from the terrain ahead of me there, is necessary. But once again, this 4Runner Venture just crushes it over everything. Look at this nasty rock pile we got coming up here. Let's see how this goes here. Let's see how this goes. This is where it's really going to prove its mettle, I think. Look at this. Yes! Through here. Unreal. Look at that. Just through everything. Just keeps trucking, just keeps trucking. A little bit narrow, but look at that. Rock there, no problem. Look at this. This is some proper off-road stuff, and this 4Runner is up to the task. Up to the task. And there you have it, folks. This is a truck that's made to work, and it works. Not very much. Oh, I want to keep going, but I think it's time to turn around. But not very much. Maybe keep going a little bit here. Gonna stop this, really. Like, yeah, I worry a little bit about those side steps. Of course, you can get many 4Runner versions without them. Worry on some more when there's really undulating stuff. You can hang them up on things, but that's the only worry I have, if I'm honest. This is like right on the money. So while there's quite a lot of room in the front of the 4Runner, I wouldn't exactly call it super roomy back here. I know this seat is adjusted for a tall driver myself, so I'd get a little more legroom if I moved a little bit forward on its rails, but my knees are right up against it here, and while they're not pushed up quite so high here as they were in the Tacoma last week, it still is a slightly awkward seating position. Headroom is okay, but again, even though it's got that nice tall roof, not quite as much as I might have expected. The seats are mounted higher back here than they are up there, so you're going to have some headroom issues. Again, mostly for kids back here anyway. Plus, as an adult, I could live back here on medium range drives. I've got the nice armrest here and everything, so that's fine, but not quite as roomy as I might have expected it, considering how roomy it is up front. However, I really do like the way the rear seat folds actually in this. Like the Tacoma, it's still a 3-step system. Bottom cushion gets flipped up like this here, that, then the headrest comes down, and then you flip the seat back down, but it goes down nice and easy. You don't have to fight with it at all. Even though the seat is quite far back, this thing folds perfectly flat, which is great because the cargo area back here is not super long, so you want to have that extra space. So a big fan of that. That's enough on the 2020 to 4Runner for now. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for watching on YouTube. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. If not, no hard feelings as always. You can also follow me at Dan the Wheelman on Twitter and at Dan the Wheelman on Instagram. And thanks for tuning in here. Tune in next week when I'm in a vehicle that's on the other end of the Toyota CUV/SUV spectrum, the CHR subcompact crossover. So that'll be a bit of a paradigm shift there, I guess. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.